hit the button record. So again, guys, Luca not here to break even, and I'm here with Jason Miller. And Jason has been so nice to reconnect with me after a technical failure I suffered from. And I will not make the name of where the technical issue was coming from. But anyway, I take the blame for that. Jason is Jason, you're a very well-known character and actor in the space of digital marketing. But why don't you talk a bit about yourself? Because there are going to be things that I'm going to tell about you that I discovered about you, how I got connected. And, who are you, Jason?
Well, thank you, Luca. Always a pleasure to chat with you. So yes, Jason Miller, I lead the global content social for LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, LinkedIn Sales and Marketing Solutions, based out of London. I moved here about a year ago, and from the States. I've been at LinkedIn for about 4 years. Before that, I was at Marketo, leading their global content and social. Before that, I worked in the music industry. So a little bit of B2C, but now focused pretty much on B2B.
Now, it's good to see how Jason, despite the fact that he's got a very nice story to tell, he's very humble about himself. He just said a few things. And if you allow me, Jason, I will just recover very briefly in a few seconds how I came to know about you, because despite the fact there are many famous characters in the world, of course, we cannot possibly know all of them. But I was traveling from Zurich to London, and on a BA flight, and my eye was attracted by, I don't now quite remember what was the title of it. I think it was Career Opportunities, if I'm not mistaken. A title of an article published on the business magazine of BA. And well, practically it was like reading about myself, or I would have liked it to be about myself, a guy who was 36. And maybe you want to talk quickly about that article, because it really, really resonated with me and with many other people, Jason.
Well, thank you. And again, so it's the whole concept. It was British Airways magazine called Business Life, which I, when I moved over to the UK, I started flying British Airways, and I just thought it was such a better experience than most of the American airlines, United, whatever. But they had this publication called Business Life, and I started reading it. I read it from cover to cover, and to pick up a magazine and read it from cover to cover is quite remarkable. So I found out who the editor was, reached out to him and just said, hey, I'd love to contribute an article. And so he came by the LinkedIn office. It was really funny, and we both turned out to be, this is how relationships are made. I tweeted to the guy, just said, hey, I'm a big fan. I'd love to, contribute an article. And he tweeted me back, and it said something like, give me an envelope of $5 and it's done. And I didn't really even know what that meant. But of course I figured it out. Anyway, make a long story short, he came by and we chatted, and he said, what do you want to write about? And I just said, I just gave him like 10 ideas. And he said, well, tell me about yourself. And he took all the ideas and threw them back and just, asked me to write something about my journey. So the post was literally about, or the article was literally about, I spent 12 years in the music business, hoping that we would figure out digital, which was destroying the business model. And it was,
Jason, sorry to interrupt. Would you care to say when was that?
That was, I started in 1997, and I think I quit in 2009. But maybe 2000, into 2009. I think it was right after the death of Michael Jackson, which was kind of a last, it was a point when people wanted physical products, and so people were buying a ton of Michael Jackson stuff. But anyway, the music business was being disrupted, and instead of embracing digital at the time, they decided to fight it tooth and nail, and it was a really difficult time for me, because I had all these ideas and no one would listen to me. And so I just quit one day. And so it was really hard for me to leave this industry that I love so much. I love music, and I love, promoting, marketing these artists, these up and comers, and turning people onto new music. That's what I love to do. So at no point did I ever say I wanted to be a B2B marketer. In fact, I didn't even know what the hell B2B marketing was at the time. But, I had to figure out, I was 36, and a lot of people would say that's, you're nearing your midlife crisis. And I had to figure out what I was going to do next. And I really felt that 12 years in the music business had not set me up for success. So I talk about the journey of how I had to go back and reinvent myself, and and I talk about that in detail. And I think the biggest lesson for me was I felt that I was really behind in life, and that that decade in the music business was lost. But it turns out it's never too late to reinvent yourself. Number one, it's never too late to start something new. And then your past, even though it may seem like it was not beneficial and didn't set you up, what you take away from that, for me, it was creativity. It was just this vast knowledge of music that I kind of apply as my personal, I apply my passion for music to the business world, and it brings up this unique kind of personal brand. So that's basically what the article is about. It's about reinvention. It's about being disappointed, reinventing yourself, finding new life, but bringing along that passion you love and applying it somewhere new. And the results for me were tremendous, and it worked out really, really well for me. But it wasn't easy. It was very hard, lots of work. But now I'm in a good spot, much better spot than I was at 43. I'm 1,000 times happier than I was from 21 till 36, I think.
It's really great message, and I appreciate two things most out of what you just said. First of all, that the message that you're giving. So no matter where you're at, when you are at in your life, you can always reinvent yourself. And the second message you gave is, I'm seeing many people out there painting the journey like it was easy peasy. You haven't done that. You say there's work involved. So now, of course, we talked and we have a restricted time, but would you care? Because our audience is also very much about people who are trying to reinvent themselves or working to reinvent themselves. Maybe people who are at the verge of taking a decision on whether to use certain resources and what kind of resources to reinvent themselves. Maybe they come from a corporate life. Maybe they come from a totally different trade of business, and they just are missing something, like you said about yourself. So what are the steps that you took? So just tell us about it. If you were to create your 7 steps to heaven, what would they be? And if they're 5 or 6 or 8, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how many steps that are involved, but I think the most important thing, the first thing you need to do is just figure out who you are, what you stand for, and what you do not stand for. And for me, it was I wanted to take this 2009, this Twitter and social was pretty new for marketers, right? So
yeah.
I saw an opportunity to kind of tell your own story. And I don't subscribe to the world of storytellers. I just think that's a little bit overplayed. But if it's up to you. If you have an idea, if you have thoughts, if even if you don't have an original idea, if you just take an idea that's out there and push it forward. I mean, that's what thought leadership is all about. So I just kind of I had this idea of what brands could do, what people, individuals could do to take their own story, put it out there in a blog, in a video, whatever, and then kind of amplify it to the audience that you're looking to reach. And over time, you start to build an audience, you start to build authority, and you start to get to be known as an expert in certain topics. So I think the first step is to figure out who you are, what you do, what you want to do, what you stand for, what you don't stand for, and then start writing. I mean, the most important thing is to get your thoughts out there, and there's no excuse to not get them out there. And if it's video or blogging or whatever. I mean, I started with the blog, just writing down my thoughts every day and putting it out there. And there's a famous quote from Jello Biafra, who was a punk rock legend from a band called the Dead Kennedys, and this one stuck with me so much. He said, "Don't hate the media, but instead become the media." And that came out of the frustration of the punk rock movement of the late 70s, because they couldn't get press to pay attention to them, right? So because disco was ruling the world, and the press wanted nothing to do with anything but disco. So these punk rockers, the Sex Pistols, the Ramones, the Dead Kennedys, they started telling their own story, and they started doing, they became so outlandish in the way they told their story that the media couldn't possibly deny them anymore. And then they broke through and killed disco in the early 80s. But I kind of think of that mindset, like don't be frustrated that the media is not talking about you. Become your own media, and then figure out a way to amplify yourself out there. And I think with the tools and the platforms, and there's no excuse for anyone not to do this if that's what you want to do and get yourself out there.
And thanks, Jason. One of the reasons why the people that are part of the Not Yet to Break Even list, I'm talking about 1,000 people now, plus the subscribers to the Facebook group, that it's been growing. That's not something that I've been doing for years. That's something that I started literally just 3 months and a half back, maybe 4 months back. And I subscribed to what you said. And there is also one other thing that resonated with me while I was reading your article. And when you talk about your digital brand, whether you're aware or not about it, if you're using in any way, shape, or form the social media and LinkedIn, well, you're working for LinkedIn, so, or are affiliated with LinkedIn. So it is a social media in its own way, sort of. And well, you are publishing a brand no matter what you're doing. So you better be aware of what kind of image about yourself you want to project. And so you took an action, but even before taking an action and going out there writing, that remember, you did something else. And recently, I think it was yesterday, I received one of your tweets where you were publishing the upcoming opening of one of the next courses. So do you care to talk a bit about that? Because you came from becoming a student of a marketing course to being the teacher.
Yeah. So again, I think it all goes back to, if you have a presence online, a social media presence, a LinkedIn presence, whatever, and you're trying to get ahead in life, you can either kind of craft your personal brand message, or it will be done for you by the way the world interprets what you publish. So the important thing is to take control of your personal brand moving forward. And again, set up these standards of who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for, and what you're looking to achieve. And it doesn't have to be super specific, and it doesn't have to be locked in. I mean, I talk about music, I talk about B2B marketing, I talk about branding, lead generation, social media. I'm kind of all over the place, but it works for me. I'm not saying that works for everybody. Maybe you want to single in on something. But throughout that reinvention of myself, the most important thing was that I had to learn very quickly. So I signed up and I went back to school, and I was starting to get my MBA, my master's, and it was just taking too long. And they were teaching me a lot of stuff that wasn't really relevant, and that's stuff that I couldn't apply right away. And so I dropped out of that, and I found these accelerated marketing courses at UC Berkeley in digital marketing and SEO and market research, which was the most boring thing I think I've ever signed up for in my life. And then it was email marketing, anything that had to do with digital marketing. But they were accelerated courses. I didn't sleep for almost a year while I was completing these, but I got 2 certificates. And then I applied it. And then I took that knowledge, wrote about it, applied it, updated my resume, my LinkedIn profile. Actually, I haven't used a resume in like 10 years.
Yeah.
It's funny. Somebody, I guess, heard, they asked me and said, how did you move from an industry that was dying to an industry that was thriving? I said, well, I taught myself as much as I possibly could, and the rest I went and learned from the experts. And that got my foot in the door to startup. And then it was just time to hustle and blog and network and go to events. And you can do that from anywhere in the world. There's a gentleman named Chris Marr who is up in Scotland. And this guy is the most brilliant networker I've ever met. And he does it all from Scotland, which is just remarkable. Which is a remarkable guy, a remarkable personal brand. But I guess somebody had heard about how I took this course, and then, kind of it put me on a trajectory for success very quickly. While other folks are still trying to get their MBAs, I was, way ahead of them in the game of skills or skills that could be applied immediately. And so UC Berkeley reached out to me, and they brought me in for a photo shoot, and they put me on the cover of their digital, of their extension courses, and they liked the story so much that they asked me to come back and teach it. So I've been teaching it for a couple of years now, and I rebuilt the course once, built it my way, and we're getting ready to kick off the fall semester coming up. But it's kind of the cool thing about that is it's like a self-fulfilling sort of event here because
Yeah.
I have to build this course. It's an accredited course, so it can't suck. It has to be good, and it has to
Yes.
be cutting edge. So as I'm, revamping the course, and I do so through some of the smartest folks around SEO and digital marketing who are in my network and stuff that I do every single day in my own job, I become smarter, and it forces me to be one step ahead of the digital marketing curve so I can keep my students, abreast to it as well. So, and I wrote about this on the LinkedIn blog. I think this is really, really important to keep in mind. If you're a good content marketer, then you're always learning because you're learning something every day. And if you write about something, even if it's your own platform like LinkedIn, like I write about LinkedIn a lot, but I also write about SEO and digital stuff. But if you're constantly researching and you have the right experts that you follow in your network, then you're constantly ahead of everyone else because you're constantly learning. And the most important thing you can do today is learn as much as you can. So learn something every single day. I don't read fiction books, but because I don't feel like I'm getting anything out of them. That's just my own little issue. But yeah, so just learn something every day. And it's not enough just to have this network, but have a network of close, trusted experts that you can lean on and rely on, and I guess maybe sort of a digital mentor, if you will.
Thank you. That's a tremendous message because I'm personally a firm believer that everyone can eat, given the right circumstances, the right motivation, the right moment in their life, change their trajectory. And you are a fair example of that. And this is inspiring. Sometimes I don't believe that people who have reached this sort of transformation, maybe you are one of them, realize how much of an impact the stories, like your story, your words, are having on people who are at a certain point in their life where they're really trying to figure out what to do next, what to be for the rest of their life. So I want to thank you again because these are really, really very good words, and it's inspiring. And no matter what people in Not Yet to Break Even out there are setting themselves out for, digital marketing or whatever else, this is a positive message. But I'd like now to get quickly back to the digital marketing aspect, because the audience, the people who are likely to see also this video and are really people who are willing to explore digital marketing as an opportunity for them to transform their life. So maybe become a professional digital marketer in the company they're working at, maybe in another company, or maybe building their own business, right? So based on your experience, Jason, right? Because I also get this question in a way or the other, but I think that you are more of an expert, of course, than I am. And how would you answer to the following question? So digital is a buzzword. Are there really digital opportunities out there? How do digital opportunities look to you?
Well, I would say that digital is faster, it's cheaper, it's certainly easier to reach your target audience. So I would be very surprised if someone, an entrepreneur or a business, fought digital. Now, I think where people get concerned or get kind of frustrated is that there's so much out there, right? There's so much opportunity. What platform, what channel, what tactics, what's the strategy? And I think, if you just focus on one channel where your audience is and try to do something, try to get some traction there, I think that's where you start. But for me, I kind of like to play in all the different roles. So I believe in this idea of the hybrid marketer, which I think if you're an expert in any one thing, I think you're easily disposable. And that's because I feel that to be successful, you have to not be an expert in any one thing, but you have to understand how all these different marketing disciplines work together. Maybe you can focus on one, but you have to understand how all the different marketing disciplines work together: SEO, PPC, email, research, acquisition, the funnel, e-commerce, all these things. And I'm not an expert in in email marketing, but I can write a hell of a subject line, and I know how to test the emails to make sure what's going to perform best. And the same with demand generation. I'm not an expert in demand gen, but I understand how marketing automation fuels my content and can scale
Awesome.
your marketing efforts. So again, I think it's just a matter of understanding the digital landscape and then figuring out where you want to focus. But also the most important thing is to understand how all these things work together, how all these marketing disciplines work together, because we're moving towards an integrated marketing experience. And are we there yet? Some people are. The Amazons and Netflix of the world are certainly there, but I think the rest of us have quite a bit of work to do.
This awesome, because although of course you say, well, I'm not an expert in email marketing, but of course you are an expert in digital marketing. So, and you were not, I mean, you excuse me if I say that, but I'm quoting your own words here when you were saying that you were not a digital marketer before, right? So yeah, you probably were using some of that, but it was just at the verge of the Twitters of this world to come to the surface, to really become popular, to grow. So what was the single, if you had to recommend one single action for people to take, to bring them to the right trajectory of becoming effective digital marketers, what would it be? No matter where they're at in their life, let's say that they're having a bakery business and all of a sudden they want to say, you know what, I want to get closer to digital marketing. I want to become an expert and, maybe build my business around that or create a new business. What would the single most effective action that you would recommend to them?
Well, again, based on my experience, I would say, start somewhere and get in over your head, right? Jump in the fire. So when I started at Marketo, I was concerned that I couldn't do this job because it was very overwhelming. And there was some folks who came before me who, in a fast startup, in a startup environment, like it moves very fast, and you have to understand that this isn't for everybody, right? It's a high pressure situation. Lots of moving parts, but I was a little bit concerned that I could not do this because a lot of folks in this company had just couldn't take the pressure. And so my advice is to go jump in the fire, jump in the deep end, do something that you push yourself basically. So in the 2 years at Marketo, it was basically an advanced PhD in digital marketing, right? And they are the experts at digital marketing, specifically marketing automation. So I learned more in 2 years at Marketo than I did in over a decade in my previous role. And so that set me up for success. So if, I wanted to be a digital marketer, so I got a job at the best and I pushed myself, and it was difficult and it was very challenging, but I stuck with it and I found success. So if you want to open a bakery, go work at the world's best bakery, learn the chops, learn from the best, and then take what you learn and then go apply it yourself. So when LinkedIn called, I wasn't really looking to leave Marketo, but they called and they said, we want you to come build this content engine. And I told them, I said, I will do it, but I have to bring my own strategy, my own people, and my own agencies, and that's what I did. So again, I think it's all a matter of jump in the fire, go learn from the best, and then take those ideas, make them your own, and then you can apply them anywhere you want. And so I think that's the best way. If you just dive in and say, I'm going to build a business, I mean, sure, that works for some people, but I'd rather go on an accelerated course of learning from the experts. And then, along the way, you're always forming your ideas and say, oh, I wouldn't do it that way. And I want to do it my way. And then you push those ideas forward. And I think that's where I've had success. And it's still, if you get comfortable, then you're not learning, and you might as well just quit.
That's great. No, honestly, it's a great message. I think two keywords that I would take out, apart from quit, depends on where you're at in your life, but so far, education, guys. So if you want to become the best in something, you need to learn and you need to learn from the best, and you need to take action, because without action, I mean, it's like the joke of I don't know whether you can call it a joke, right? About there were 5 frogs sitting on, what was it, a branch, and 4 of them decided to jump. How many of them did jump? Well, it's the same thing, guys. Deciding, thinking about doing something won't get you there. So you need to take action and do something. I'm curious, Jason, because when you went to Marketo, you were just starting. So how did you get a job there?
You know, so I started at there was a job in between that at a company called Market Tools, and it was sort of a like an entry level social media role, and I had to kind of swallow my pride and take a step back. But I got my foot in the door of a tech startup, and so once I got there, then I just wanted to do a really good job and push this job as far as I possibly could. So I constantly went above and beyond, and there's a book called The First 90 Days, which everyone should read every time they start a new job. And I went through the organization. I found everyone who could, help me be successful in my role. And it was all about just really, really doing a remarkable job and doing great work that was different and thinking about things a little bit differently. But also bringing in as much as I could possibly pull in from the outside sources, from different blogs I read or conferences I went to. But I think the main thing was I think a lot of folks get into digital marketing roles and they get into a company, and big or small, whatever, and they start thinking, they start leading with their personal brand, and they say, "Oh, I'm like an expert in this," and that's the worst thing you could possibly do, because the companies you work for probably don't care about your personal brand, nor should they. They just want you to do great work. Now, the good thing is the marketers who get into a role and do great work and go above and beyond and push these ideas forward, their personal brand will start to develop on its own. But you never lead with your personal brand, because that'll just get you in trouble. The company wants you have a job to do. And if you walk in with an ego and think you're better, or think that you're cool because you have a blog on or a guest blog on the Social Media Examiner or something, it's just going to get you in trouble. So anyway, my point is I found opportunities to get my voice out there. I was guest blogging anywhere I could. I did a tremendous amount of writing for free. So these people who tell you like, "Oh, I don't write for exposure," or whatever, you know what? Before you get to that level where you can say that, you're going to have to write and do a lot of work for free. So I still do a lot of work. If I want to get a ghost post on something or whatever, I write it myself in my spare time or whatever. But my point is you're not going to get paid for everything when you're building, and I think a lot of people are just don't get that. So I mean, right now I'm at a point now where I choose what I want to do, but earlier it wasn't like that. It was be everywhere that will take you, that can help you amplify your voice out there. And so literally, I was introduced to somebody at a conference, and when I went into interview at Marketo, the woman I interviewed with, Maria Pergolino, who one of the smartest marketers on the planet, she's a VP of Aptus now. She basically said, what did she say? She said, "Oh," I asked her, I said, "Do you need my resume?" And she says, "No, I know who you are based on your online work." And so that was number one, was flattering, but
Powerful.
I was also very relieved, because it made the interview process much, much easier. And so 2 days later, they offered me a job. So I really, does that happen a lot? I don't know. In the startup world, it probably does. I think a lot of people take chances based on what your online presence looks like. But the fact that I was writing on my own blog, and I had my voice on other blogs, on other important blogs to that industry, made all the difference in the world. And it wasn't easy, but through networking, through paying attention to the influencers in social and connecting with these folks, it starts to build up over time. People jump into these things and they give up before they even get any traction. Like, it's the biggest argument in content marketing. "Oh, this content marketing doesn't work." Well, how long have you been doing it? We've been doing it for 2 weeks. That's not good enough.
Yeah. I mean, figures. I mean, you're saying exactly what I'm also seeing as being the main comments and feedback from people who are approaching the world of, digital marketing in this case. And, I'm not seeing the results. And exactly as you said, and I'm nowhere near the position where you're at today, Jason, but I see that being the main comments from people, that they are not seeing results. And then the question is inevitable. Okay, how long have you been working on that? All right, yeah, maybe a couple of weeks. So it figures, right? If you're motivated by something, you will do it, and you will do it right. And
Yeah. And
there's some background noise, guys. Sorry for that, but I'll move around a bit. I'm in a greenhouse. You probably noticed.
but there's, I will say another thing. There's, like you said, if you're smart about your strategy and you're consistent with your strategy, and you'll find success, right? So right now there's this. It's very frustrating for me to, when I log into various social platforms, that I see these experts who are trying to sell you, oh, I can hack your way into 1 million visitors or 1 million views or whatever. And to me that's just kind of silly. If you hack your way to something, it's a shortcut, and there's no shortcut in digital marketing. If you want to cheat your way to the top, it's going to come back, and it's going to come back to bite you, and it's not going to last forever. So it's best just to put the work in, have some patience, and build it up, organically. And again, it's just frustrating to see these experts and these consultants who are claiming to get you 1 million views if you just do this little hack or whatever. And it's like, what the hell would I do with 1 million views? I don't need 1 million views. What kind of conversion rate can you get on 1 million views? I'd rather do a strategic, campaign that targets a specific audience. Like, I think people are too concerned with their egos and these giant numbers, and it's not about that. It's not a numbers game anymore. It's a game of relevance. It's a game of how relevant can I be to my audience. And if I have 10 people who read a post that I write, I'm fine with it. So I don't understand why. I would say, don't let your ego hijack your digital marketing strategy or your content strategy specifically. So I'm really a bit frustrated, and I'm trying to get it out of my feed, these people who post these things and say, I can get you 1 million views and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's useful for anybody.
Agree. And there's no replacement for expertise and work eventually. You can work smarter and not harder, but you still need to work to get to your desired results and your desired outcomes. But I'm curious because still today, it appears like, there's messages like these or get rich quick scams around every corner. So it means that people are reacting to those messages still today. Did it ever happen to you? Did you ever actually fall for any of these, maybe at the very beginning, when you were starting, for any of these claims?
No, it didn't. And I'll tell you why. Because I always aligned myself with someone smarter than me that I could go and ask, right? So there's a gentleman named Adam Metz, who's now just a really good friend of mine, but he wrote a book called I think it was called The Social Customer. This is back in 2010. And I read this book, I think it's called The Social Customer or something. Adam Metz, M-E-T-Z. And he was doing this, you could basically sign up. I read Adam's book, I loved it, and then I reached out to him, and we started chatting every 30 or every an hour every 2 weeks. But he was sort of my mentor, and like whenever I would see one of these things that was too good to be true, at least I had someone to run it past. He's like, and he would be honest with you, oh, that's bullshit or whatever. So I think in the beginning you have to have some sort of a mentor, some sort of a spiritual guide, to kind of help you through the pitfalls. And something that looks too good to be true in the digital marketing world, it usually is. So I think I can't tell you how important in the early days for me it was to have that mentor. And if it's a paid mentor, or if it's just someone you respect who takes the time to help you out, whatever it may be. But that was vital for me. And Adam's still a good friend of mine still to this day. We went to a Paul Stanley book signing event from KISS.
Oh wow!
So.
And by the way, for the people who might not know, Jason, you're also a photographer or amateur photographer, however you define it, right? And you're finding time for yourself to go around. You're a rock and roll fan, or not rock and roll fan. I mean, I shouldn't say that. You're a heavy metal fan?
A little bit of both. So
a little bit of both, and you go around tour with these bands and tour with these bands as a photographer, or you just go there and take pictures. I mean, how does it work for you?
So interesting story. Again, this is another story of reinvention. I'd never picked up a camera in my entire life until 2011, into 2011. And I got thrown into a situation where I was going to be photographing Motley Crue one of my favorite bands, and I
Okay.
never picked up a digital camera, so I had to figure out how to use this thing, and I screwed up the shots. I screwed up the opportunity so bad that I vowed to master low light photography after that.
Okay.
So 5 years later, I'm semi-pro, won several awards in concert photography. I've had interviews with Petapixel and Nikon, and so again, it's just another thing that I said, you know what, I'm 30. She's, well, how old was I how old was I when I started? I guess I was 30, 37, 38. And I was like, it was along the same time as the digital journey, but I decided I want to be a professional rock and roll photographer. And so, people say, oh, there's people who've been doing this 30 years. How in the hell can you do it? Well, there's a virtual PhD in anything you want to learn on the web,
Wow. Great
if you
message.
can find it. So I taught
Yeah.
myself, self-taught. I photographed Kiss 4 or 5 times, Guns N' Roses, Roger Waters. I still shoot 2 or 3 shows a week. And I have a book coming out in a few weeks. And so, yeah, I think.
How's it called?
What's that?
The book. How's it called? The title?
It's called Down in Front, a story from the back of the crowd to the front of the stage. And it documents that moment that I picked up the camera at Motley Crue up until, the whole journey of failures and successes. And just like the music business, the photography business has been disrupted from the ease of entry into the space. But I was getting, I get full credentials to shoot every show I got, and I got those through my own personal music blog. So it was a really interesting journey, but it's not easy. It was incredibly challenging. And anyone who wants to do this, I just basically documented and said, here, if you want to shoot concert photography, you want to do anything, here's a story of how I did it.
Congratulations, John. It's massive. And telling me that my internet connection is unstable. It might be due to the fact that I'm in a greenhouse. But Jason, we're coming to the end of the allotted time, and you've been very, very available. I know it's just great. It sounds like the perfect story. So I would like now, if that's okay for you, to share maybe something that's not so perfect, meaning there were pitfalls, right, in your journey until now. Can you maybe name one, or at least I believe there is some. I mean, there is for the majority of us. What was the pitfall that you still remember as the one that probably has taught you the most, and then you would advise the other people against?
So that's not, there's still lots of stuff I struggle with. So number one, I take things very personally. So when I work for a brand, I wouldn't work for a brand that I didn't believe in and love and trust, right? So from Marketo to LinkedIn, and when you work for a brand that's got a pretty good social following, there's always a couple of negative comments here, or a troll, or someone trying to take advantage. And I take that very personally. So in the early days, I used to kind of lash out and respond back like, who the hell do you think you are, blah, blah, blah. So I think just learning how to, kind of respond appropriately, respond without emotions, like not bring emotions into it, and just get, thicker skin, and just not pay attention to everyone. I think if you start paying attention to if you look at something online and you think, oh, that person's doing that, I need to do that too, then it becomes like a rat race, and then you're just kind of throwing content out there all the time. So I would say number one, don't take things personally. Don't try to follow everyone all the time, because you're just going to get frustrated. And I guess don't react emotionally, especially in the workplace. So throughout the whole time I was taking courses in digital marketing, the one thing that I wish I would have probably took a few more courses in is around leadership, which is something I focus on now a lot. So, just a well-rounded approach to, digital marketing, leadership, what my role in the organization looks like. And, again, leave your ego at home, and just try to find those people, align yourselves with the folks in the organization that can help you be successful.
Thanks very much. Now, instead of answering one of my questions, any thought that you might still want to share? Anything at all?
No, again, thank you for having me on the show. It's interesting to me. I don't really, when I get emails from folks about like the BA article or Welcome to the Funnel, the book I wrote a few years ago, or just a post that I wrote on LinkedIn. So I don't get like I don't hear a lot of feedback because I think we're all so busy, and who actually sends a note to the article or the author these days. But in the follow up to that
I
British
do.
Airways, yeah, thank you. In the follow up to the British Airways magazine, the month after, in the letters to the editor, somebody had written a letter in. And it was a gentleman who said that it was a really inspiring article, and he felt like he could relate to it. And I mean that really makes me feel good about what I do, because I don't get a lot of feedback from these articles. You can't really comments aren't really popular anymore on blogs and whatnot. But the other thing is sometimes people send me a note in LinkedIn, and I get a tremendous amount of notes in emails in LinkedIn, and so it's difficult to keep up with them sometimes. But I do try to respond to every single thing, every tweet, every email, whatever. But I have a little folder called nice notes. So whenever I get frustrated, and I take every email that I get that's something nice about something I wrote or just something I did for somebody, and I drop it into this folder. And whenever I'm like down or depressed or get upset,
That's awesome.
I open up the nice notes folder, and it just kind of brings me back up. So that's I don't think I've really ever told anybody that. But yeah,
Well,
here's my advice: have a nice notes folder. So whenever someone sends you a note, a positive note, and God forbid we do that more often, because there's certainly not enough nice notes in the world, drop it in there and save it for a rainy day.
awesome. Well, what else do you want to know, guys? Jason Miller's profile is definitely on LinkedIn. You go visit it. And Jason, you might receive just a few more messages. I believe more nicer and nice notes to add to your folder. It's you can believe what Jason just told, that I'm sure that he doesn't get nearly enough time to go through all of them. He did get time to respond to every single harassing probably message I sent him.
Always a pleasure.
I did harass you a bit, but really, Jason, thank you so much. Inspiring, motivational, and very, very instructional as well. It's a rare combination of things. And you want to, when is your next semester starting?
So it kicks off on actually on Tuesday next week. So it kicks off next week, and then I teach it fall. There's a fall, winter, spring, summer. And it's like I put so much work into this. If you want to get started with digital marketing, if you want to explore what digital marketing looks like, the landscape, this is the course you take. This is the very course that I took to transform me, and now I put everything I got back into it. So I just revamped it again, and it's bleeding edge, and it's got lots of my influential marketing super friends who I do interviews with, podcast style, exclusively in the course. So yeah, it's I'm really excited about it.
Awesome, and I'll post the link on the description field, guys. So don't you worry about that. Jason, thank you so much about everything here. And you called this a show, so thank you for that as well. It's not a show yet, but who knows, guys? We may see each other again, and Jason's comments, and maybe you'll be open to some guest blogging. Who knows? But we'll see.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much, Luca. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ciao, Jason. All right, guys. So this is the end of the interview with Jason Miller. Go visit his profile on LinkedIn. And I think there were a couple of very important messages from Jason in these videos. By the way, you see the nice setting that I have behind me. I'm really in a greenhouse, so I'm sweating. I am literally being eaten alive by mosquitoes, but I will do everything to bring you these original and exclusive material. All right. So keywords for me: learn. Education is very, very important, and you need to get started. So of course, Jason's teaching a course at the UCLA, but there's other ways as well. I think that's a very good way to get started. You also need to get started to taking action. So implement. Learning is not enough. Learn and apply. And then the third thing that I quote now from Jason's conversation just now: do connect with people that are experts and can get you there. Don't, even if you have to pay for that. Yes, that was his message, free, paid. Mentoring is good if it enables you to grow your skills and to grow as a person from a leadership perspective as well, not just from a technical skills perspective. That's worth every single cent you pay for it. Okay? So guys, stay connected, stay tuned. Let me know what you think about these format. Let me know what you think about this specific interview with Jason. And let me have your thoughts about other people who you would like me to reach out to and interview in the same way, or maybe with specific questions. I wish you all the best, guys, and let's reconnect in the coming days. Ciao, to your success.